two bands in a tree. We've got the bands set up, we've got the tree set up. So now it's your turn. Grab your bands. Today's focus is going to be on the shoulder, and specifically the trap. So we're going to be moving the bones of the humerus, the clavicle, the scapula, and the spine. All right, and the idea is to have those bones do a new interaction, new dialogue with each other, with the intent of targeting the muscle fibers that are most restricted and tight within your pattern. Okay, so how can we play around with the position of my humerus inside the shoulder joint? Can I turn it internally or externally? Can I give a little bit of traction? If I rotate my upper body, my upper torso, I can feel the pec involved. If I lean down, I can really target that trap. And so what we do is we start really gently with small little movements to isolate what's most tight, okay? And so it's moving with high repetition, targeting possible the area that is most restricted. So I have a nice knot in this trap here, and so what I'm doing is just doing like the shoulder shrug, but I have traction. Okay, using the band creates a little bit of traction, and then I'm exploring my position within that. So I can, grab both hands on the band, lean in, and really just get a great stretch through my trap and my pec. As I rotate, as I move, I can play around using both bands, lean forward, do small little shoulder shrugs. I'm sure you've done this before, the shoulder shrugs, but with resistance. And it's a dynamic resistance, so the bands create a gentle, consistent, steady isotonic resistance, and then I can just really explore where that tension is and bring blood flow to it. That's the whole point, is bring blood into the tissue that is most restricted, and that blood flow helps the tissue to open up and move and glide and slide more freely. And as you explore, you start to notice the connections between your trapezius and your muscles of your rotator cuff or the pec. And so all the muscles that are connected to this muscle have fascial connections. So we're exploring how to open that whole relationship up by moving in a different way than we're accustomed to. Because maybe I'm accustomed to sitting at a computer, or writing, and I've used that mechanic over and over and over until it's created a condition of tension. And so if I break the pattern by moving in a little different way with the same kind of high repetition, the body is going to respond and adapt to that. And the response is sending blood flow to where you want it and to relax. That's the whole point of this exercise, is to get the muscles to relax. And you can really start getting into, more of a full body, so I can get my hips involved in a lunge pattern. I can notice, what's going on in this lateral, all along that lateral side, as I really play around with the bands to give a little bit of resistance and a gentle tension through my shoulder. So we can lean in, do small little shoulder rotations. I can engage my hamstrings, doing a modified, somewhat of a deadlift. So I'm just bending at my pelvis, keeping my core tight and my legs are straight, which targets that whole back line all the way up to my cranium, head. So shifting, lateral rotations, open up the rib cage. You can do is a volleyball stretch my buddy and I used to do. So he'd say, "All right, do me," and I'd grab his hands and just lift them up. So you can do yourself. You can hold your hands, get a good stretch, let the band do the work. And then, you know, like I said, the spine is involved. So how can I articulate my shoulder as it relates to my spine, my cervical spine? So it's a real gentle unwinding. It's a method of relaxing into the process of exploring your body, moving your joints, using resistance, tuning in to where your tension is, and then exploring small little movements to open that area up. So now I've got a whole lot more blood flow within that trap, and I'm gonna take you to the next stage of this method, which is gonna target the areas that I identify. So I'm gonna set it up and get ready for the next segment. Now we're gonna get into some of the direct pressure. So this is a prototype. The manufacturing will be a little bit larger size. So this is just preparing for that launch and teaching you guys how to use direct pressure. So it comes to a point, so what you're gonna do is put the band right on that trap wherever I found the tension. I'm gonna put the activator right with the pointed edge down onto that spot, and then I'm gonna pin it. So I'm just gonna find the right spot. I can play around with directional force, so I can lean in and ask the tissue, what makes it feel like it's going to be more comfortable and relaxed. So is it shifting it, you know, up towards my head, down towards my shoulder, towards my clavicle, towards my scapula, which direction? And for me, it's gonna be different for everybody. For me, it really feels good to move it, shift it down towards my shoulder. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm not putting any stress into my body by holding really targeted direct pressure. I'm pinning the tissue that I've identified through movement to be the most restricted area. And then I'm shifting my body weight, to giving the tissue the preference that it wants as I really gently, like, you know, the amount of force I'm using is gentle. So, you know, intensify by rotating a little more against the band, which is going to force the band into my shoulder and thus press the activator deeper into my tissue. And I can just hold that. And this is the practice of guiding yourself into a massage. So I'm getting the exact point of direct pressure I need. I'm giving it the exact amount of force that my body can relax to, and then I'm intensifying it as the tissue opens up. So as it feels like, you know, starting very gently and light, when it feels like, okay, that the intensity should go down, start at about a 5 or 6 on a scale of 1 to 10. As the intensity goes down, I can shift and increase the intensity, because that tells me the tissue is beginning to open up and relax and release. And then I can use activation, which is, you know, targeted active release. So as I pin it, I activate the muscle. In my structural integration Rolfing training, it's called anchor call to motion. So I anchor into the tissue and then I call it into motion. And this is a deep stroke to this tissue that will burn most therapists' thumbs out. They're not going to hold the intensity and duration as long as you would like, and so you won't ever actually get the tissue to completely release. So when you're doing it yourself and guiding it yourself, I can spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes targeting one spot and letting it release deeper and deeper and deeper. And then what I'm going to do is follow that pattern of either the muscle or wherever it feels like maybe it's referring to another area, because that muscle pattern that I've been using as I write is tied into specific muscles that I've been using. So the trapezius and levator scapula there's adhesions, and that trapezius goes over top the rhomboids and the rotator cuff muscle. So it's a whole blending of muscles, which is a fascial pattern, and if I'm treating it real gently, it's stimulating the fascia to have to adapt, send blood flow, and there's 10 times more nerve endings in fascia. So it's sending a signal throughout my system of what else is going on within my fascial, it's called the neuromyofascial web. So what else is going on in this pattern? How can I, activate my trapezius and my levator scapula, and then notice where else it's showing up in my body. And then that's the process of following that pattern out, going into the rhomboid, wherever else you want to go. So Tait Yoder with star wrap and 2 bands in a tree using the star stack method. Hope you liked the video. Comment, click like. Love to hear from you. And we're doing classes out here at Hyder Park, 12 o'clock on Wednesdays if you're in Albuquerque. If not, we can do some video training on this work as well. So just DM me and let's get started with teaching you how to relax your muscles in a really deep therapeutic way that tunes you into your body on another level of working with fascial patterns, which is going to relieve any conditions you might be dealing with, shoulder pain, neck pain, and also help the performance because it's tuning you into your entire structure as you move. Have a great day. Talk soon.